Listening Fill in the Blanks.
Let's start.
The diversity of the living world is staggering. More than 2 million existing species of organisms have been named and described, many more remain to be discovered, from 10 million to 30 million, according to some estimates. What is impressive is not just the numbers but also the incredible heterogeneity in size, shape, and way of life, from lowly bacteria, measuring less than 1,000th of a millimeter in diameter, to stately sequoias, rising 100 meters, 300 feet, above the ground and weighing several thousand tons. From bacteria living in hot springs at temperatures near the boiling point of water to fungi and algae thriving on the ice masses of Antarctica and in saline pools at -23 degrees Celsius -9 degrees Fahrenheit, and from giant tube worms discovered living near hydrothermal vents on the dark ocean floor to spiders and larkspur plants existing on the slopes of Mount Everest more than 6,000 meters, 19,700 feet, above sea level. You feel the ground suddenly shake, and nearby objects are trembling. An earthquake is happening. Also called a temblor, an earthquake is caused by the movement of parts of the Earth's crust, its outermost layer. They happen millions of times a year, but most are so small people don't even feel them. But powerful earthquakes can cause landslides, tsunamis, flooding, and other dangerous events. Most damage and deaths happen in places where a lot of people live, because the shaking causes windows to break, structures to collapse, fire to break out, and other dangers. Learn more about these unpredictable earth tremors, and what to do if one rattles near you. Posters became the main vehicle for advertising prior to the magazine era and the dominant means of mass communication in the rapidly growing cities of Europe and America. Yet in the streets of Paris, Milan, and Berlin, these artistic prints were so popular that they were stolen off walls almost as soon as they were hung. Cheyret, later known as the father of the modern poster, organized the first exhibition of posters in 1884 and 2 years later published the first book on poster art. He quickly took advantage of the public interest by arranging for artists to create posters, at a reduced size, that were suitable for in-home display.
However, the international typographic style began to lose its energy in the late 1970s. Many criticized it for being cold, formal and dogmatic. A young teacher in Basel, Wolfgang Weingart, experimented with the offset printing process to produce posters that appeared complex and chaotic, playful and spontaneous, all in stark contrast to what had gone before. Weingart's liberation of typography was an important foundation for several new styles. These range from Memphis and retro to the advances now being made in computer graphics. Grossman and his colleagues have also found that one of the most reliable ways to support wisdom in our own day-to-day decisions is to look at scenarios from a third-party perspective, as though giving advice to a friend. Research suggests that when adopting a first-person viewpoint we focus on the focal features of the environment, and when we adopt a third-person, observer, viewpoint we reason more broadly, and focus more on interpersonal and moral ideals such as justice and impartiality. Looking at problems from this more expansive viewpoint appears to foster cognitive processes related to wise decisions.
In another study, couples in long-term romantic relationships were instructed to visualize an unresolved relationship conflict either through the eyes of an outsider or from their own perspective. Participants then discussed the incident with their partner for 10 minutes, after which they wrote down their thoughts about it. Couples in the other's eyes condition were significantly more likely to rely on wise reasoning, recognizing others' perspectives and searching for a compromise, compared to the couples in the egocentric condition.
Individual analysis and post-test data, which confirmed parental vocabulary reports, showed the children had at least some knowledge of the 3 color words, they averaged 2 out of 3 correct choices in response to both and post-nominal question types, which, it has been pointed out, is better than chance. When children's responses to the question types were assessed independently, performance was at its most consistent when children were both trained and tested on post-nominal adjectives, and worst when trained on prenominal adjectives and tested on post-nominal adjectives.
The Uffington horse is also surrounded by Bronze Age burial mounds. It is not far from the Bronze Age cemetery of Lambourne Seven Barrows, which consists of more than 30 well-preserved burial mounds. The carving has been placed in such a way as to make it extremely difficult to see from close quarters, and like many geoglyphs is best appreciated from the air. Nevertheless, there are certain areas of the Vale of the White Horse, the valley containing and named after the enigmatic creature, from which an adequate impression may be gained. Indeed, on a clear day, the carving can be seen from up to 30 kilometers away.
The spot on the surface just above where an earthquake starts is called the epicenter. Ripples called seismic waves travel out from the epicenter. This causes vibrations that people can feel, sometimes very far from the epicenter. How far away people can feel an earthquake's vibrations depends on its size, or magnitude. Scientists base the magnitude on the strength and duration of the quake's seismic waves. The higher the number, the more powerful the earthquake. A magnitude 3 to 4.9 earthquake is considered minor, 5 to 6.9 is moderate to strong, 7 to 7.9 is major, and 8 or more is an extremely powerful trembler. During the past few years, a market for fuel cells for backup power applications is fast emerging in the United States. Backup power, or uninterruptible power, is a power source that is used in the event of a grid system failure. Backup power is essential for business for continuation of service and is especially important for telecommunications providers to ensure reliable, high-quality service with 24/7 availability.
Like, share, subscribe the channel and press the bell icon for further updates.